Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this session on systematic literature searching in MEDLINE on EBSCOhost. So in this 60-minute session, we'll be introducing the advanced search concepts for searching MEDLINE on the new EBSCOhost interface. So we'll look at developing a complex search strategy, incorporating wildcards, proximity search operators, running free text and mesh searches as well, and applying filters where possible. So I hope this is what we'll be covering today in this session this afternoon. So I'm Richard Crooks. I work for the EBSCO Customer Training Services team, now with EBSCO for more than 14 years, previously working as a medical librarian in the NHS. So welcome to the session. In terms of the actual objectives then, my hope is that by the end of the session, you'll be able to plan an appropriate search strategy using the PICO framework, and I appreciate this may well be a refresher for most of you. Also, though, you'll be able to perform simultaneous title and abstract searches on EBSCOhost, so there's a feature there now that it's available on the new platform where you can do that. And also, you'll be able to use the medical subheadings, the mesh terms for authoritative search results, which will combine with the title and abstract search. And you'll be able to combine the free text and mesh terms using the search history in MEDLINE. And then finally, you'll be able to find more training resources in support of systematic searching. So I hope that's what you're expecting from the session this afternoon. So if there's anything else, please feel free to post it in the Teams chat. Obviously, we do also run other sessions on supporting system reviews as well. So there is sometimes an overlap, but there may be some other things that we'll cover in those sessions. Okay, so moving on then, the first thing we want to do is really have some initial considerations in terms of a systematic literature search. So first of all, of course, why am I searching? What is the purpose for? So that will obviously govern or direct us to some degree how we search. So it could be in support of simple things such as finding papers for a critical appraisal club. It could be in terms of looking at the latest evidence for given procedures, etc., and so on. So that obviously has some bearing on how we approach this particular search. What am I searching? What are you looking for? What kind of content? Coverage? Is it local? Is it UK specific, for example? And also how are we searching? Which resources? What limitations? What criteria do we need to factor into our search as well? So with these in view, we have to consider the types of searches that we are going to conduct on MEDLINE in this particular instance. So it could be a simple lookup. You identify one or a small number of research articles that meet a narrow set of criteria. It may be in relation to retrieval of specific facts, incidence prevalence, and so on, or an answer to a specific question. It could also be more exploratory, where you're learning about a concept or body of research, including its characteristics, the terms used, the amount of evidence that's out there, the type of research that's been done before, and so on. So it could be more like a general scoping search. But we come to systematic because this is where we're really going to focus on. So this is where we might seek to identify all records, or you might say a majority of records, on a specific topic through an unbiased, transparent, and reproducible search. So it could be in response to a particular research question. And that's the kind of the way we're going to take it today in this session this afternoon. So then with those aforementioned points taken into consideration, when approaching the search in light of the research question, we need to consider how are we going to structure this search. So first of all is to understand the research question, presuppose that we have something that we need to respond to in terms of a request from a user or something we've been tasked with. So then we need to choose a framework. So again, this will help us structure our search strategy. So we have PICO, of course, which is commonly used in terms of a clinical framework. We have others like Cocoa Pop and Spice, Spider. These are less well known, but they are also available. And then we also have to devise, of course, with that an appropriate search strategy to search, understanding the question, and of course, identifying synonyms and related terms for each concept. So when we're looking at keyword searching, we are really trying to second guess what terms researchers, authors use, editor use, clinicians use in terms of a related topic. So we need to consider synonyms and related terms for each concept. We also would be then looking to search for each concept, line by line, as it were, or set by set. And that could be a combination of the title or abstract searching with the use of medical subheadings, the mesh terms for MEDLINE. Then as we want to seek to find what's out there, then we may need to apply various wildcards and proximity operators, so like truncation, near and within operators for the EBSCOhost interface, to expand our search, to enhance it, to ensure that we can find the relevant literature. And with that, we can then combine the concepts used in the Boolean operators and or, etc. So this is kind of the way we're going to take it in this session this afternoon. So we do have a research question that we want to respond to in terms of creating a search strategy. So it is for patients 65 years and older. How does the use of an influenza vaccine compared to not receiving the vaccine influence the risk of developing pneumonia during a flu season? So we have the question. Obviously, I've bolded some of the key elements that I feel are appropriate with a framework in view. So we have patients over 65, we have influenza vaccine, and then compared to not receiving the vaccine with the risk of developing pneumonia, etc., during flu season. So in terms of the framework itself, this is where we will probably already have an idea as to which one we'd use, but there are others out there, as I've mentioned. You can see some samples there. Again, Cocoa Pop, condition, context, population. We've got Eclipse. We've got PICO, which focuses more on exposure than intervention, but still there's comparison potentially. Peacock, which involves the context as well. And also we've got Peacots here, which is now a app within the EBSCOhost interface. So again, that includes the time element or type of study, and then the spice and so on. So these are various frameworks that can be used to create your search strategy. These have been identified by Andrew Booth et al. When they wrote this article a number of years ago. And they had 38 variants identified that could be used in terms of, a framework to structure the literature search. So again, you may want to refer to that PDF in your own time once you have a copy of the slide deck. So for this particular session, as I've indicated, we'll be looking at PICO. And you can see it does have the time element. So we've got the primary focus, which is the population and intervention. So we've got older people, age 65 plus. That could be male, female. Intervention, that's the influenza vaccine, of course. Comparison with no vaccine. The outcome, of course, is the risk of developing pneumonia, and the time is during flu season. Now, below that, as you might guess, we've got the lowercase in lowercase terms, which are the keyword search terms, the free text that we would search for. So we've got aged, elderly, older person, older people for those aged 65 and over. We've also got influenza vaccine, of course, but that could also be rendered flu vaccine or flu vaccination. We're not having terms to compare because it's really the intervention or not having it. So we're not really going to search in that area. But we've got the outcome, of course, pneumonia or pneumonitis, pulmonary inflammation, and so on. And we're assuming, of course, what we're looking for will generally be within flu season as such, or depending on, of course, the time of year that we're running our searching, we may find more literature. So we've identified some key terms. That's not exhaustive. There may be others we'll find or consider as we find literature and then run the search multiple times. And then we've got the uppercase terms below in the third row there, which are the mesh terms that we would consider. Now, as you might guess, we wouldn't necessarily know what they are initially. We'd have to do some exploration first on MEDLINE. There are some who prefer, in terms of supporting assisted review, for example, starting with the mesh terms first of all, then from those mesh terms, identify the keyword search terms, and then combine the two sets, the subject search with the keyword search, be it title or abstract or general unqualified search. So again, you take it a slightly different approach, but we're trying to be quite systematic, methodical here in our approach to make sure that we cover our bases when we're trying to find what's out there. So in terms of devising the search strategy, in terms of title or abstract searching, we can now consider how we apply this in practice with the EBSCOhost interface. So with the new EBSCOhost interface, we now have title or abstract searching simultaneously. So that's possible now to search the title or abstract simultaneously using the XB field code. Now you can render in a command line query if you put XB before the terms, for example, gallbladder dysfunction or gallbladder disease, then it's still going to search for those terms within the title or abstract field. So they may not appear in both fields. They may appear in one or the other, or possibly both. So you can use the drop-down menu to choose XB, enter your search terms, or you can enter XB in the search box followed by the terms, and that will carry out a simultaneous title or abstract search. Secondly, of course, we're looking at the use of the subject headings, the mesh terms, the medical subject headings within MEDLINE. So on the home page, on the advanced search page, which is most likely to be your landing page, as it were, for your users, there is a tab for MEDLINE Mesh. So currently it's 2025. That will, of course, be updated with the Mesh 2026 headings ultimately. And so you can browse the thesaurus, enter a term like flu vaccine, and then you can pick up the actual So again, you see flu vaccine there, and pick up the appropriate mesh term from the indexing that's provided. Okay, and then you would add that to the search. You can, of course, see the scope note and also choose subheadings if you wish to focus more specifically on a particular aspect of influenza vaccine. And once you've selected the term or terms, you can then add to the search and then run that search on EBSCOhost. And we'll see that live as we go through the demonstration. Now we have various wildcards that you can use. And as I always say, it's important to use the syntax that's designed for the EBSCOhost interface and not apply other symbols that you would use on other provider platforms. So for truncation, you've got the asterisk. So if you're searching for words and you want to truncate them, then so for physiology, physiology is physiological, then you can simply add the asterisk after the L and find those variations. You can also insert the asterisk, the star, as it were, between terms to find variations. So for ventilator pneumonia, you can add the asterisk between ventilator and pneumonia, and you would find ventilator acquired pneumonia and ventilator associated pneumonia along with ventilator pneumonia. For our exact phrase searching, we have the double quotation marks. So again, you can find the exact phrase influenza vaccine if you enclose that with double quotation marks. We have a single character or unknown character replacement, that is the question mark. So if you're searching for organization, then you can replace the S or the Z with the question mark. If you're looking for gender like woman, women, woman, or men or man, then you can replace the vowel, the A or the, with the single character replacement, which is the question mark. So that's the wildcard. And you can use that in other terms, like if you're looking for cost-benefit analysis and analyses, then you could replace the I or the E with the wildcard and find both variations. We then have alternate spelling. So this is where you're looking for terms which we rendered differently, of course, in the US, such as pediatrics, color, behavior, and so on. So if you insert the hash wildcard before the E after the P, for pediatrics, it'll find both variations. Likewise, if you have color, of course, you add LO #R, that would find both variations as well. So you may find, if you listen to tutorials or attend webinars hosted by my US colleague, you may hear hash wildcard being referred to as the pound sign. So if you're the pound sign, then it would mean the hash wildcard. Okay, and then you can combine the wildcards. So for example, you can put the hash after the P before the E, and then truncate that term to find pediatrics, pediatrician, pediatricians, and so on. And then finally, we have perhaps not such a widely used one, and that is combining the hash wildcard with the question mark. So you'll find words with exactly one character at the end. So using the term monkeys, then you would have monkey hash wildcard, and that'll find monkeys, but not monkey. So again, you might want to consult this later, and also you may have some idea how you might use that in the first instance in any case. So that's the wildcards, include truncation, but we also have the proximity search operators as well. So this will again enhance the search to ensure that you find the variations of terms, expressions, and so on. So we've got near, so that finds words if they are within a specified word range or less of one another, and that's regardless of the order in which they are entered. So for example, gallbladder N2 dysfunction or dysfunctional, and I've truncated there, so it could be either one, then that would find gallbladder within or near 2 words or less of dysfunctional or dysfunction, or dysfunction or dysfunctional near 2 words or less of gallbladder. Okay, so again, you'd be quite creative to how you use them. Within, we'll find terms where they appear near each other or next to each other within a specified word range, but in the order you enter them. Again, using the same phrase, gallbladder dysfunction, gallbladder within 2 words less of dysfunction. That's how that would work. It wouldn't be dysfunction within 2 words less of gallbladder. You'd have to use N2 for that. So the number is literal. So if it's 2, it's 1, it's 2 or less. If it's 4, it's 4 or less, and so on. Now, multiple terms can also be used on either side of the operator. So for example, with heart attack or myocardial infarction, N4 statins means you are finding or retrieving records where heart attack or myocardial infarction appear near 4 words less of statins, and statins appears near 4 words or less of heart attack or myocardial infarction. Okay, so it's broader. Again, use the near operator. So again, just an overview, a reminder of what's available there, and then we'll move on to the live demonstration. So I'm going to quickly switch to my desktop. If anyone cannot see it in a moment, please do let me know. But as Teams is now indicating this is being shared, you should be able to view that on screen. So as you might guess, the first thing we want to look at is the title or abstract search. So for that, on this new interface, we're going to go to the drop down and you'll see title or abstract XB. We can then enter a term or variations of a term. So we're looking at flu and influenza. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put flu here or influenza N3 vaccine, and I'm going to truncate vaccine. So it could be vaccine, vaccines, vaccinated, vaccinations, etc. Okay, so I'm going to search for these terms. Click search here. And then what you'll note in this configuration, so in this demonstration account of mine, I've got the search history available. Okay, so this is a relatively new feature. Some of you may not have this applied yet. It's not something we roll out as default. It is something which is configured in EBSCO Experience Manager. So if you have already are using the new interface and you do not see this, please let us know. We can ensure that this is enabled for you. Okay, so again, this is really designed to support more advanced users, researchers, in terms of running the query and then seeing the various elements before combining terms, and the possibility of editing is also there. So we have the search string, okay, XB, of course, title abstract. We have the search options that may be applicable, proximity, search mode, apply current subjects, and then the number of results, and then we have the database specifically that we're using. And on the tools menu, so the three dots there, you can edit the search, add to a project, or delete, and I'll say more about that as we go through the session. So that's the first element of this PICO search. Then we want to find the equivalent subject search. So if we go to new search, go to the MEDLINE Mesh 2025 tab, and then we're to do a search for flu vaccine. So already you see it's pointing at us in the direction of influenza vaccines. This is the mesh term that we should be using in this context. So if we click on that link there, you'll see the scope note, you'll see what it's used for. So essentially, if you browse a thesaurus for any of these terms, you'll be mapped to the term influenza vaccines. We can, of course, select that as well, and you can see where it appears in the mesh tree. Okay, scrolling down, you can see it there. Okay, so we can use this and we will select and apply. So now you see the two sets together, S2, S1. So these can be sorted, by the way, in chronological order, as you can see there now. I can select both sets. I can click combine with or, and then run search here. And I just noted, I think by mistake, I must have clicked twice. But this is a good illustration because you can delete or edit search strings. So since I've got S2 and S3 are the same, then what I can do here is just delete one of them. So if I go to S3 here, click delete, I get confirmation, of course, in this dialog box I want to do that, which I do. Click delete, and then you see the sets are renumbered, resorted. Okay, so we still got the results below, as we would expect. Now, the next element, of course, we want to look at is the reference to the pneumonia and so on. So again, we're going to go into the search box or add pneumonia, but this time I'm going to truncate it as well. So instead of put pneumonia only, I'm going to put pneumonia with the asterisk. Actually, let me just put the I there as well. So that's pneumonitis and pneumonia as well. We're also looking at the other terms, so like lung inflammation. So I'm going to add this in quotation marks. Okay. And also pulmonary inflammation as well. Now, obviously, the more you know the subject, and I've consulted other users, then you may have other terms that you might want to include or should include, as well as you shouldn't include. Okay, so this is going to be a title abstract search. So I'm going to choose from the all fields. So all fields is the general unqualified search, by the way. So it searches specific fields within MEDLINE. So basically, that's the keyword search, initial keyword search, where you don't qualify it with any field. However, we're taking the option to use the title abstract option. And then if we're satisfied with that, we click search here. Okay, so that's set 4, as you see below. And then we'll find the equivalent subject, the mesh terms for this subject search. So we'll click new search, go to MEDLINE mesh, clear this, and then we'll do a search for pneumonia. Okay, so we've got the concept there. So we're going to pneumonia here. We can select this term and then check if there's anything else here we should pick up from this list of index terms as well. This one, healthcare assistant pneumonia as well. You see the subheadings as well, which you can pick up and refine your search to focus more on these aspects. So, for example, etiology, and you'll see the scope note, what that covers specifically. But we're going to keep it broad initially. Okay, so again, we might be satisfied with that for now. We've got lung diseases. Again, some of these could be particularly relevant. But again, this could be our initial search. So let's just go for this one for now and add to search. And then we'll run the search on these two terms here. So these are the mesh terms that we're using to retrieve records about this condition that may be relevant to our search. So again, we can combine the initial sets, the title abstract, with the subject search and using the Boolean OR combined with OR. So just waiting for that to be completed. Well, we just click search. So as you know, when you select sets and combine them, they are placed in the top search box on the left, and you need to click search again. Okay. So we've got those two elements, and as you said, we're not going to do a direct comparison with no vaccine. That's kind of implied in our search if we are talking about vaccines. But we are also going to consider the age group as well. But we're going to do that in terms of a filter. So what I'm going to do here is combine those sets. I'm going to resort them again. So click ID above the set number. So influenza vaccine, and then of course, if I've got that listed there again twice. So again, I'm not sure what's going on here, but I'm going to delete this one. Okay, so I'm going to combine actually 4 or 5. Yeah, 4 or 5 is fine. So we combine set 3, which is the first two related to flu vaccine, and then the next two related to pneumonia, etc. And they'll combine with and. Okay, and then click search. Okay, so we've got that set there, but we also want to filter it because we want to look at a particular age group, which, as you would recall from the initial question, is those who are age 65 plus. So what we can do here, since we're using MEDLINE, and the same will be true of CINAHL, if we go to all filters here, you'll see we've got age as a filter. So just select the appropriate age group, which is 65 plus, and then we can apply this to our search. So we've come down to 1600 records, and we've got those displayed below. We can see the key terms are highlighted, so influenza vaccine, pneumonia. You can also see we have, if we click on the subject fields there, it includes age 18 over, so we're looking at anyone over 65, so that's fine. And then under subjects again here, you'll see age 18 over. So again, it doesn't exclude other age groups, but it means that whatever we retrieve now has been assigned the mesh term related to the age group. So we know that we're getting authoritative results based on the index of content. Okay, so obviously when you use the age group filter, it is dependent on the age as a mesh term being assigned to a article or item. So again, you may not want to use it that way. You may want to run a search on those who are aged, older, etc. So again, I've taken a shortcut here. And of course, if you wish, you can apply additional filters. We've got these initial filters here. And also now, just to point out to you, with all dates, we do have a date range filter now. So if you click that, you can specify a year. So for example, I can go for the last five years. So I can go to, let's see, where are we? 2021. Let me try that again. Yeah, so at the moment, although it says year, I think it's initially year, I'm going to have to question about that. It says at least a year, which if I do that, yeah, I'm going to report this because it defaults to the date, month, and year. So I'll note that. But anyway, if we put in, we could put in 01 to 021, and then it could be 01 to 026. Okay, so we could go, for the last 5 years. So again, this is a new feature. In theory, you can enter a year, so from year to year, and they've got 637 records. Okay, so that's 5 years. Okay, and you can see an item like this one for the ACP Journal Club, so good quality evidence there, and it's pretty current from this year. In older adults, high versus standard dose influenza vaccine reduced hospitalization for influenza or pneumonia. So this kind of thing that we're looking for. And of course, when we found an article like this, then we can explore that further, either just looking at what abstract is available, if there is one, looking at the potential other mesh terms that we may have missed in the original search, and we can also explore the detailed record as well. So basically, this is published in the Annals of Internal Medicine. You can see the authors there, and you can link out to other articles by the same author, same journal, of course, and mesh terms listed here as well. And in addition to that, you'll see we've got a list of references here as well. So you can explore this one reference here, etc. Okay. And if it's available full text, which this one is, you can go into the PDF and you can also view the article itself to see if there's any other clues for terms that you might be using here. Okay. So again, I'm going to go to all the functionality there that you see and go out to the result list. And there may be others here as well that we could use. Again, go through these, explore those. Now, obviously, once you've got your results there, and I'll just resort this again, you will then look at processing those results specifically and, what to do with them next, basically. So again, if you want to look beyond, review these at another time, then you'll be looking at saving them, saving the search, and so on. So if you're looking to save the articles, then you can do so quite easily. You can select at the moment up to 50 records per page. So you see here, I'm seeing 10 at the moment. I can increase that to 50, and that figure is going to increase in the coming, I can't say a time frame, but it is on the cards to increase the number of records that can be saved per page quite considerably. So I can select these items here, as it says there, and I can save these records. So to know where they go to, just go to the save folder. Essentially, that's by default, and those records are now stored here for review. So you can review them again. You can go through this list. You can, we'll talk about processing them in a moment, but they are available. So that's the initial saving of records. Of course, you can also download a list as well. So if you, for example, want to do this, just select these, click the download icon, and it will allow you to download these records, either in PDF format, Word, CSV, BibTeX, and so on. So we can download in that format as needed. Now we've got some other options, including the share option. So the share option will allow you to send the metadata, for each selected item in a single document. And you've got a choice of using Google Drive for this or OneDrive, or if preferred, you can just email them and enter the recipient below and click send here. So I should receive a copy of those results, those 50 records, etc. Okay, now if you're looking to cite references as well, then there's the cite tool, and that will also give you the option to export, which you'll see in a moment. So you can copy the citation from this box here. So it's currently viewing Harvard. You can change that to whichever reference style is appropriate, for example, Vancouver, and copy in that format. You can also export as well. We've got a choice of RIS formats, RefWorks, EndNote, and so on. So you choose the format that works best for you, for your users, and you export in that format. So I select RIS, then it opens up, and I can save that file and then import that into my preferred software. Now, for all of these records as well, you can also do the same individually. So you can go into individual records and save them. You can also use the tools menu for the citation, the sharing, and downloading as well. Okay. So if full text is available, then you'll be able to download the PDF or online full text as necessary. Otherwise, you can go for the metadata only if preferred. Now, again, we have tools for those when you're viewing full text. So if we go to the access options here again, I can view also online full text. So online full text gives you the option for translation as well. There's the little globe there, so you can translate articles. If you come across something which is non-English, then you can translate that. In fact, we might see some. Let me just go here. We'll see if we can find any that we could translate that full text. Let's see now. So we go for full text. I'll go to all filters and I'll see if I can choose another language. So for example, we've got one in German. So I'll apply this feature if it's available in online full text. Then, yep, so it's full text online. It's in German, but we go to the translation option. We could translate this back to English. And that should come up shortly. And then you'll see that there is this annotation that this is provided by Microsoft. It is a machine translation, so not 100% accurate, but obviously that will get better over time, especially with the application of AI. But you can now see this is the article in English. So again, it means that it's not a barrier in terms of coming across an article which may be relevant to your research. You can still translate it and read it. And this, of course, you're fluent in German. In any case, it doesn't matter. So again, translate by Microsoft, and then you can go back to the original language as well. Okay, so that's there. And there's also the option, I don't know, yeah, I think if you have it in English, I don't know for sure if you'd listen to it, whether it'll go back to the default language or read it in English. I might just try this and see how that sounds. Yeah, so I've got that back in German, but yeah, I'm not sure if I translate it back into English. Let's see if we can get it in English. Yeah, so you'll see a note here, audio is not available for translated text. So unfortunately, you don't have the MP3 option for translated text, but you can still obviously have it read in the original language if you understand the language. Okay. So now I'm going to just delete this one because this is just focusing on one particular article, as it were. So having looked at the individual records, essentially, we have got the option to view. So I'm just going to click on this one. Yeah, so we've got the results below again. So what we can do is also download our record references as well. So I'm going to go back here. So let me just choose this sort. Let me go back again. Yep, sorry, I'm going to just delete this one. Okay, so we've got results there. So we can process these. I'm not sure what's just show me this one. Okay, it's better. So we can now see the results from the search, original search. Again, we go in, we can apply another filter. For example, if we do want to stick to English only, we can do that here and apply this filter. So again, any comments, questions about the features and functionality or what I'm doing here, please do feel free to post it in the Teams chat as needed. So you've got results there. So I said about downloading. We also support exporting as well. So you can export these records. So you can select and choose the export to 25,000 records. So we've got 373. And as you know on screen, you do need to be signed into the EBSCO personal account to create an export. So click sign in here. Okay, and then you can add your credentials. If you don't have an account for EBSCO, if you have not created a personal folder account, and if you're not signed in with Google, then just create an account here and then enter your details here. Again, your Google sign-in option there, add your details here, email address and so on. You can create the password, note the criteria for that, and then also agree to the consent form for the collection of data by EBSCO. And we do have the privacy policy indicated for more information about that. Once you've done that, you can then select sign in, add those credentials, and then sign in from here. So now, because we've selected the export option, it's now presented us with this form. We can add our email address here, who it should go to, and notice the number of results exported can be up to 25,000 in one sitting, with an upper limit of 100,000 in a 24-hour period. Okay. There's also the option to add further email addresses, and then you can choose the preferred format. So RIS format here, and then you'd send, and on screen you get confirmation that a link has been sent to your inbox, and that is valid for up to 7 days. So click close, and you go to your inbox to extract that information. Now we do have additional options as well in running the search, and that includes the ability to add to a project. So you may have numerous searches on the go, and you need to, of course, differentiate them. So there is an option with the projects folder to do that. So click projects under my dashboard, and you see I have some projects already there listed, but you can create a new project here. So click the plus sign, add a name. So for example, we're looking at, let's see, pneumonia. Let's see what, just going to go back here a moment, sorry. So it's adults, okay, with pneumonia, as it were, or adults and influenza vaccine, sorry. Okay, and then if it's a particular search or assignment you're working on, if it's in support of a suspect literature search for a group of clinicians, then you may have a deadline to submit that information. So you can choose the date from here. So I'll put 1st of March or 2nd of March. And then if you have any comments to make, any free text you want to enter to annotate the search, then you can enter the details within description, click create, and then you've got the project saved here. So now what happens is you can then save articles and then also searches to that particular project folder. Now you can do it one of two ways. If you go to saved, you can see I've got some articles here. I've got a lot more because I've now signed into my EBSCO account. But for these ones that relate to influenza vaccine, I can just select these and I can add them to the project that I've just created here. Okay. So I can do that. Okay. And if I go back to the search itself, then what I can also do is save the search, and that can be added to the project as well. So if I go to the tools menu above the result list, click save search. Again, you need to be signed in for this. Give it a name. So again, adults and influenza vaccine. Okay. Again, there's free text options there. The description. You have the entire search there. There's just a combined query there. You can copy that to the clipboard. Otherwise, you can click save and save that. And if I go to close that, if I go to save now, the save folder under my dashboard, this is the standard folder, everything's saved to. Then within the searches tab, you'll see I've got this query, and I can select it and I can add it to a project. So that means I'm grouping my search along with my search results. And if I go to projects now, you'll see within adults and influenza vaccine, we've got those records plus the search itself as well. Okay, so they're there. Now, a third place you can go to find the search essentially is another place is the recent activity. So if you go to recent activity, you'll see it's recorded or tracked what I've been doing. So you can see here the final set of results, as it were. So I can resort this so you can see the sequence. Go to newest on the right, click oldest, and you see the sequence. Okay. So from this page, I can download my search. I can select the sets. I can also delete the whole set or individual sets, but I can also download here. It shows a Word format, so PDF, Word, CSV, XML, RTF, or text. I'll go for RTF for now. Click download. Save this. And if I open it up, you'll see what it looks like. Okay, as an RTF file. So you've got the search set number. So this is the XB search for flu or influenza vaccine, the date this was run, the time, the hit count, etc., database. And then as you combine terms, you can see each set, the expanded query is actually shown, not just the set numbers as well. So again, useful for reporting purposes. So that is available within this menu. So again, you can view and download the search here as well. But now with the advanced search result list, if we go there and go back to our search history and resort again, we can actually download this set here. So you can download up to 500 lines here. So you can see here, download all up to 500. So you can download these, and then you get a choice of formats, and then download. So again, this is just another way to download the search from within the new interface. Again, you see the S1 query, the expanded query, the time, date, etc., the results, the search mode, the interface, and the database, which of course is MEDLINE that we're using. So although I'm using MEDLINE, the basic abstract index only version, if you have MEDLINE Ultimate or MEDLINE Complete, the principles will be the same on the new interface. Okay, so it's the same across the board, whichever version of MEDLINE you're using. Okay. So I mentioned about editing as well. So if in the course of your reviewing the search you spot errors, we've seen how you can already delete a set. So for example, item 11 is duplicated. So we're going to go in and delete this. Okay. And then you can also edit as well. So for example, if you go to S1, again, you can go in, edit search details, and then you can go to edit search, and you can amend this format. You can change the syntax, you can change, add terms, remove terms, etc. And then you'd update the search, and that will be reflected, okay, in the search. So I've changed this to 4, for example, N4 instead of N3. I can do that, click update search, click continue, close this down, and you'll see if I resort this, N4 has now been added here. Okay, so it's N4, not N3. So I edited that line, search string, which has then impacted the other aspects of the search, other elements as well. Okay. So again, any comments, questions, or feedback? Some of you may have been using this for some time now, perhaps several months, and especially since the new advanced result list was released at the end of October. So again, we'd like to hear from you. If you have any questions about this kind of functionality or how this works in practice. Obviously, I'm demoing it right now, so you get a good idea of what to expect. But just in case if there's anything there you want to explore further. But what I will do now, I think I will just mention, let's see now, I think I'll stop there and go back to the PowerPoint for now and just share my PowerPoint. And you'll see here, I'll resume, we've been going through the live demonstration. We've got this page here. So this page just summarizes a couple of the steps I've taken that you can see in the search history. So you've got the reference to influenza vaccine, both as a title or abstract and subject search, a mesh search within MEDLINE. These are combined. Likewise, pneumonia and related terms, both for title, abstract, and pneumonia combined. And then, of course, you see in the search history, the search parameters and filters are also recorded along with the search set and the syntax you've used, and also the database is specified as well. So again, in the initial scoping or running a search like this, you may find certain articles that are particularly relevant. And again, you can go to the cite tool, for example, you can copy the citation for these records, which means you can send them on later on, or you can just generate the email address. Okay, so Elaine's asked, can you share or show retrieving a search from projects? Okay, we can do that. So let me just go back here. So if I go to my desktop from here, so I'm now back into the search history and the advanced results page. If I go to projects here and the adults influenza vaccine project, click on that, and then you'll see searches. So I can select this, and it will rerun the search. So basically you'll see the search results displayed as you see there now. And of course, I did tweak it, so it's the figures are slightly adjusted now. Okay, so I assume that you may have some feedback on that feature, but so you can just click on the search and it will rerun for you in the interface that you see there. Okay, so I hope that at least is what you're expecting, or at least had observed previously. Okay, see what else. Let me just go back here again. If I go back again to the PowerPoint, and just to outline, we also have this syntax, this help sheet here, which details the syntax to be used on the EBSCO interface, in this case for MEDLINE. So it gives you what it's doing, the description, how it's actually, what is the shortcut, and also how it's used with an example. Okay, so it's available from our support site. Okay, so that's downloadable as a PDF. Okay, so I'm just going to come back to Elaine here. I wanted to bring it up in advanced search with all the lines of the search history back in, but it doesn't seem to do that. So yes, that's right. It doesn't seem to do that right now. We can flag that. We can highlight that. There are a number of updates I'll point out in a moment. There are a number of updates that are coming to the interface. So again, that might be rectified. But at the moment, when you click the projects or even in recent activity, I think in there too, if you default to the final set and click on that, it will show you in the original results page. So what I did here is, if I go back to new search here, if I just enter a term here, for example, I'll just grab these search strings to save time, but actually screen. Yeah. So I just combine these two search strings together and click on the advanced search page, click search here. Those search strings will also appear in the result list within the search history, as you can see there now. But what's to highlight is that the previously clicked search in projects, which Elaine brought up, have appeared in the search history here. Okay, so although it displays in the initial results page, when you eventually go back to the advanced search, you will see the final set listed. So again, perhaps not what you're expecting. That's what it's doing right now. And of course, I've mirrored this a few times now. So again, they are there, but I think there's some work being done on navigation between them as well. Okay. So again, yeah, they are recorded there. They're also recorded in the recent activity as well. So again, you can see the set number, the two searches I just ran, plus the other sets which I selected from the projects folder, which do appear in the search itself as a single line, as a combined set, as it were. But again, from what I deduce, you would expect that to appear in the search history on screen from the advanced results page. Go back to our PowerPoint. Just to again remind you, we do have ample training support available. We have previous webinar recordings, and this one will be, of course, edited post-session and made available, but we do have one from the previous month. I think we had one in December. We have also the EBSCO Connect site, which I'm sure many of you have seen before, connect.ebsco.com as our main support site with tutorials, handouts, and so on. And when you sign into it, you have the option, or even before you sign into it, you have the option to go to EBSCO Academy, where there are more videos to watch. There are e-learning courses, and also linked to other instructor-led courses. They may not be specific to a particular group, for example, the NHS, medical sector, but we have other colleagues around the world who also do training in English as well. And for those who work in the NHS or in healthcare sector, if it's a faculty of health sciences, whatever it might be, at a university, then we do have a dedicated healthcare training resources portal, which means that we provide access to upcoming trainings and also support information in relation to using MEDLINE, CINAHL, and related databases. And we do, of course, or have included some of the key links to some of the features that we've seen today in the PowerPoint. So these relate to the new EBSCO interface. You may still be using the classic interface. These particular handouts or links are related to the new EBSCO interface. So again, you want to explore them further in your own time. Okay, I'm happy to stop there, but are there any additional questions or comments about the aspect of systematic literature searching on the new interface, and in particular reference to MEDLINE, part of course what's already been raised? And while I'm waiting, I will just show you, I'm just going to bring this up. There is a page detailing, what's up and coming in terms of more advanced aspects of searching. So again, I share this in other sessions, but I just put the link out in the chat so you can find this one. So this will give you a kind of notice really of what's coming. And this was updated a few days ago, well, a week ago, so less than a week ago actually. So by all means, contact me if you need to rcooks@ebsco.com, or you can speak to your local EBSCO account team for any further support as well. Okay, thank you very much.